This is the fourth video of this section, generating views. Last time, we explored the controller code that YII created using its CRUD generator. In this video, we will look at many of the same application features as in the last video. However, this time around we will focus on the view layer. More specifically, we'll look at generating views, introducing views, and registering tags and assets. Simply stated, views handle the presentation layer of our application. In other words, they are responsible for the way our application looks. The majority of code in our views will either be straight HTML or PHP which generates HTML. Let's return to our monster test listing page, but this time we'll look at the view code to see how it generates our application HTML. In order to do that, let's look at the HTML source so we can see the relationship between some of YII's view methods and the presentation code that it generates. Go ahead and open up views monster test index.php. You'll see that YII has kindly provided some code comments, which help remind you of some of the variables available in this view. You'll see that this in the view context refers to the application view component. Next, you'll see two variables, named search model and data provider respectively. You may remember from our last video that these are the two variables that our controller's action index method provided as a method parameter to its render call. These code comments will be helpful to many IDEs in order to take advantage of code completion. Next, you'll see that this title is set to monster tests. If you look at the page source, you'll see that YII outputs a corresponding title tag for you. If we change it to something else, for instance, learning YII2 monster tests, and then reload the page source, we'll see that our page title has changed accordingly. Further down the page, you'll see several uses of the HTML helper, which we'll cover in more detail in Section 5 of this course. For now, just know that the first call encodes any special characters in our page title as HTML entities, and the second generates the link tag found on line 29 of our HTML source. Finally, you'll see a call to the grid view widget, which we'll explore in detail later in Section 6. However, even without knowing the details of how this works, you can see that the data provider and search model variables are fed as parameters to the widget method. Additionally, you can see that the values passed into the column setting are used to generate the 4 data columns on our monster test list page. In order to confirm that this is what's happening, let's comment out the ID column, switch back to our browser, and reload. We'll see that the ID column has disappeared. The view component also allows us to register meta tags on an individual page. This is achieved simply by using the register meta tag method. It takes an array as a parameter with the name and content of the meta tag. We'll create a description meta tag with the content, "This is my first YII application." Save the file, switch back to the source, and you'll see that YII outputs our new meta tag. Finally, if you need to add JavaScript to an individual page, the view component gives us several methods to achieve this. If your JavaScript is located in an external file, you use the register.js file method and provide the URL of the script. For instance, if we wanted to add AngularJS to our list view, we could simply provide the register.js file method with its CDN URL. By default, the script tag is output at the bottom of the page, just above the closing body tag. If you wanted it in the head section instead, you could add a second parameter to the register.js file. This parameter can be an array with the key of position. And the view object has several predefined class constants for the various positions of the script. We'll try to move it to the head using posHead. Look again at the source, and we'll see that our JavaScript has been moved to the head section of the page. The view component also provides a method to include CSS files called register_CSS_file. By now, you should have a firm understanding of the role of views in your application and how to use YII to generate them. In the next and final video of this section, we will take a look at another one of YII's built-in development tools, the debug module.